Have you ever wondered, why do some families stay wealthy for generations while others lose everything in just one? We've all seen families that were once incredibly successful, owning factories, thriving chains of stores, or even legacy brands, only to see it all disappear within a generation. The wealth vanishes, family values fade, and the grandchildren are left surviving on memories of a golden era. Statistics show 70% of inherited wealth disappears by the second generation, 90% is gone by the third. And yet, some families survive every crisis. They don't just stay rich, they preserve their values, influence, and legacy. And here's the truth: it's not luck. My insight: for years, I believed wealth came from choosing the right industry, making smart investments, or getting lucky at the right time. But after over a decade observing wealthy families in America, from Midwestern entrepreneurs to East Coast philanthropists, I've realized something deeper. The real difference isn't what they invest in, but how they think about assets. Families who lose their wealth focus only on making money. Families who keep it for generations focus on building structures, because they understand one key truth: real wealth isn't what you earn in your lifetime. It's what continues to grow and create value long after you're gone. This is where the mindset shift begins. After 50, you're no longer just building personal wealth. You're entering the stage of designing a generational system. The bigger question now is, how do you protect your assets not just from inflation or volatile markets, but from the slow erosion of mindset, responsibility, and legacy? How do you ensure that what you've built doesn't vanish the day your name fades from the obituary? The answer lies in the types of assets you won't find on a bank statement, but that quietly holds everything together, like pillars: reputation, family governance, future-focused thinking, strategic flexibility, investment in people, legal and regulatory alignment, and finally, a living legacy infrastructure. In this video, I'll share with you 7 non-traditional assets, the ones that have helped thousands of families across the US stay wealthy, not just in their bank accounts, but in the very bloodline of their legacy. If you're in your 40s or 50s or thinking about leaving something more lasting than just money, this video is for you. 1. Reputation capital, the invisible credit card. Imagine an asset that can't be bought with money, can't be listed on any balance sheet, but has the power to unlock financial doors that even millions in the bank can't. That asset is reputation capital. In America, there's a saying: your reputation is your most valuable currency in the room, and it spends itself long before you speak. Reputation capital is an intangible yet highly leveraged asset. It doesn't show up in numbers, but it's felt in every deal you close, every partnership you form, and every conversation people have about you when you're not in the room. The difference between being liked and being trusted: many people confuse having a good reputation with being well-liked, admired on social media, or standing out in a crowd. However, reputation isn't widespread in generational wealth and long-standing business communities. Reputation is financial trust. You don't need to be famous, media-savvy, or have a polished brand. But if people know you as someone who keeps their word, protects those around them, avoids unethical gain, and treats others fairly, you already hold one of the most potent forms of capital. Personal story: I once met an Italian-American doctor in Illinois. He wasn't active on social media, had no flashy branding, but over 35 years of practice, he'd never been sued, never abandoned a patient, even in the most challenging times. When he shifted into real estate investing in his 60s, people sought him out, not because he knew the market better, but because they trusted he wouldn't play dirty. His reputation became an invisible credit card, helping him access lower interest loans, faster deals, and more leverage in every negotiation. How to build your reputation credit card. After 50. If you're entering a new chapter of life, working less but wanting your assets to grow more, reputation capital is your most valuable competitive edge. Here's how to intentionally build it. 1. Review the relationships you've built over the past 20 to 30 years. Who has trusted you? Who did you help avoid risk? Start a reputation ledger, your personal trust resume. 2. Lead with your history of reliability in every new deal. Don't be shy to say, in 15 years as a financial partner, I've never missed a payment deadline. That line is more potent than quoting an excellent interest rate. 3. Introduce yourself with credibility, not credentials. In funding rounds, contract negotiations, or joint ventures, let people know you're the kind of person others trust. 4. Build your brand within closed circles, not for the public. The truly wealthy don't find partners on the internet. They ask trusted circles, do you know anyone reliable? Your reputation should travel through whispers among influential people. Ask yourself, are you managing your reputation like a stock portfolio? Think of reputation like an invisible credit card. You can use it to buy trust. It's accepted in high-stakes deals. And when used wisely, your credit limit increases. After age 50, your real value isn't in your salary or dividends. It's in how much people trust you, even when you're not there to convince them. 2. Family governance. Treating the family as an organization. Most people avoid discussing money and family like it's an emotional landmine. Everyone fears that mentioning finances at the dinner table will ruin the mood. But wealthy, multi-generational families understand something essential. It's not money that breaks relationships, it's the lack of structure. They don't see family as a group living under the same roof. They treat the family like an organization, complete with roles, systems, philosophies, and a decision-making structure. Why is family governance a real asset? Once you've accumulated significant wealth after 50, one primary concern begins to surface. How do you protect and pass on everything you've built? Not just your material wealth, but your mindset, values, ethics, culture, and financial direction. That's why ultra-wealthy families in the US establish what's known as a family governance system, an informal yet highly effective framework that prevents disputes, poor financial decisions, and most importantly, family breakdown after the founder steps away. Personal insight. I once met a Jewish-American family in Philadelphia. They hold a board meeting every 3 months at their home. The 72-year-old grandfather acts as the chairman, the eldest son handles finances, and the college-age granddaughter is assigned to docket research and present potential business ideas. To an outsider, it might look like a game, but in reality, this is how they pass down values, knowledge, and responsibility across generations with zero pressure. They've maintained this structure for nearly 15 years. So, what does this system include? 1. A family constitution. It is not a legal document, but a written guide outlining core values, financial principles, investment philosophy, and long-term vision. Examples: we don't invest in businesses we don't understand, or a percentage of profits will be allocated to an education fund for the next generation. Irende, clear financial roles. No more, dad handles all the money, or mom takes care of everything. Everyone, even teens, has a role. Some track spending, others analyze investments, and others plan charitable giving. It's hands-on financial literacy, not just theory, but real experience. 3. Regular family meetings, like a boardroom quarterly or semi-annual meetings where the family reviews investment portfolios, adjusts budgets, sets new goals, and resolves conflicts. This turns sensitive issues into structured discussions, removing guesswork and reducing personal friction. 4. Documenting the founder's investment philosophy and financial lessons. This is perhaps the most potent living document. I'm not just saying I got a good deal on this house, but explaining its reasoning, the thinking process, when to hold and when to let go. It's how timeless wisdom gets passed down. Why is this crucial after 50? At this age, you're no longer just the primary earner. You're the architect of long-term sustainability. You've survived crises. You know what's noise and what's foundational. Now's the time to systematize what you know instead of letting it disappear. Because without structure, your heirs will be left to guess your intentions, or worse, invent new rules once you're gone. One important reminder: don't wait until you're ready to start building your legacy. Let your first family meeting be the beginning, not just a place to share assets, but to share how you think, how you live, and how to preserve belief through generations. 3. Knowledge arbitrage, leveraging insight. Before it's time, turning perspective into wealth. When we're young, we often invest based on what everyone else is doing. Which stocks are hot? What trends are rising? Which fund seems safe enough? But after age 50, if you're still chasing the crowd, you're limiting your potential. The truly wealthy, those who maintain wealth across generations, don't invest with the herd. They invest based on information gaps, a principle I call knowledge arbitrage. In simple terms, arbitrage means buying low and selling high by exploiting price differences. Knowledge arbitrage is about capitalizing on insight gaps, using foresight to act before the market does. Personal insight. I met a family in Colorado whose father was a retired energy engineer. Though retired, he maintained a daily habit of reading niche industry journals. In 2011, while few people paid attention to renewable energy, he quietly began buying land in areas ideal for wind energy development. 12 years later, a national energy infrastructure firm arrived to build a wind farm. His modest investment turned into a 15x return, simply because he acted before anyone else looked. And more importantly, he passed down his entire research and decision-making process to his son. Why is knowledge arbitrage so powerful after 50? After 50, you possess a superpower that younger investors don't: lived experience. You've witnessed at least 3 to 4 complete market cycles. You've been through crashes, bubbles, recoveries, and policy shifts. You don't just see information, you recognize patterns. And when you combine that with proactive curiosity, you'll start spotting opportunities 5 to 10 years before they go mainstream. How to apply knowledge arbitrage intentionally. 1. Allocate 5 to 10% of your assets to insight investing. This isn't about risky bets. It's about deep learning in future-defining industries. Clean energy, water security, artificial intelligence, food innovation, personalized healthcare, data ownership rights. 2. Build a brain trust, your advisory circle. Connect with experts, lawyers, engineers, doctors, tech specialists, educators. They don't need to be famous, just ahead of the curve in their fields. These individuals will help you distinguish real trends from hype. 3. Assign intelligence missions to the next generation. Your kids and grandkids understand digital spaces, social media, and emerging tech. Involve them as a research team. Have them report back to you. Then combine their curiosity with your wisdom to make strategic calls. It's not just a learning exercise. It builds generational consensus around investment decisions. 4. Read beyond your field. Cross-industry scanning. Don't limit yourself to financial news. Read medical journals, energy bulletins, agricultural studies, and defense tech reports. Major trends often emerge quietly from unlikely places. Final takeaway. After 50, your greatest asset isn't cash, it's perspective. You don't need to be the most intelligent person in the room. You must be the only one who sees the truth before it becomes obvious. Knowledge Arbitrage won't make you rich overnight, but it will lay the foundation for a family legacy that stays ahead by a generation. Fourth, optionality preservation. Don't close every door. Your most valuable asset after 50 isn't optimization, it's flexibility. Most mainstream financial advice revolves around one keyword: optimization. Optimize your interest rates, optimize your taxes, optimize your retirement accounts. But if you're in your 50s, 60s or beyond, optimization is no longer the best strategy. At this stage, your most significant financial asset is something else entirely: optionality, the ability to choose. Why? Because after 50, what you need most isn't maximum returns. You need to pivot, adapt, and act quickly when life, or the market, throws a curveball. Personal insight. I once spoke with a retired US Army officer in Seattle. He had enough savings to fully invest in rental real estate, and everyone advised him to do so. But instead of going all in on property, he kept 40% in cash and allocated a portion into a flexible bond fund. 2 years later, his daughter launched a food tech startup and needed urgent funding. Without having to go through banks, he stepped in as the first investor, and today the company is valued at over $8 million. That opportunity would have slipped away if he optimized every dollar for maximum return. So what is optionality in personal finance? It's not just about cash. Optionality means having the power to act without being trapped. It's space, it's time, it's strategic freedom. How to preserve optionality after 51. Hold more cash than traditional advice. Suggests most financial planners recommend 3 to 6 months of expenses, but old money families often hold 12 to 24 months of living costs, not out of fear, but to be ready to strike when opportunity calls. Irrender. Avoid locking up capital in illiquid assets, remote land. Pre-IPO startups or long-term closed-end funds may promise high returns, but they sacrifice agility. Ensure that at least 30 to 40% of your portfolio can be liquidated within 30 days. 3. Stay flexible in lifestyle. Many people settle down after 50, buying a large home, choosing a fixed state to retire, or cashing out their retirement all at once. But that often means trapping yourself in a box. Keep the option open to move, to pivot strategies, or to change income sources if needed. 4. Delay non-urgent decisions. Wealthy people rarely rush into commitments. They delay decisions as long as possible, not from hesitation, but to gather more insig. Don't pressure yourself to choose where to re-hire or how much to invest immediately. The longer you keep your options open, the greater your financial power. Optionality, indecisio, it's strategy. It allows you to avoid getting trapped by market downturns, step in to help children or grandchildren in real time, shift directions when the world changes, and most importantly, preserve your freedom when others have none left. Final thought: you're young, focus fuels growth. After 50, flexibility protects and preserves. Optional won't create instant returns, but in moments of crisis or sudden opportunity, it becomes the open door only the patient can see. Don't close every door too soon. True wealth means still having an exit when others are stuck with no way back. 5. Human capital development, investing in people. The asset that grows itself. After 50, many people start thinking about slowing down. They believe their most productive years are behind them, and that the only thing left to do is protect what they've already built. But that's the mindset of someone approaching the end of the game. Multi-generational wealth families think differently. They understand one simple truth: when you no longer make money through effort, let people generate value for you. Personal insight. I once believed that my greatest asset was experience. until someone else used that experience and generated 10 times the results. That's when I realized knowledge that isn't passed on is a dead asset. But when knowledge is replicated through people, it becomes a living, growing asset. Why is human capital the most valuable asset after 50? Physical assets can be lost, stocks can crash, natural disasters can destroy property, but people, when appropriately nurtured, can create value far beyond anything physical wealth can generate. How to invest in human capital after 51. Start with family. Build a family university. I know a family in Denver that created the Summer Legacy Program, a unique summer camp for their children and grandchildren, ages 12 to 25. They learn personal finance, family history, investment strategies, and soft skills like public speaking and negotiation. By age 30, these young heirs don't just know about the family's wealth, they know how to grow it. This is the most valuable school a wealthy family can build. Create a mentor ecosystem, lifelong learning support. Don't let the next generation figure it out alone. Invest in the network around them. Arrange internships at trusted companies. Connect them with seasoned mentors in their field. Fund skill-building education tailored to the future of their industries. If you've ever thought they should make it on their own, think again. You made it on your own, so now you have the power to lift others. 3. Invest in your team. Turn experts into long-term assets. Visionary families don't just hire lawyers, accountants, and advisors for one-time help. They build a wealth team, a lawyer specialized in estate planning, a tax advisor who follows policy shifts closely, a trusted family financial manager, and more importantly, they treat this team like partners, with compensation, training, and long-term trust. A loyal 20-year attorney is worth more than a one-time 20% return. Living assets are the only ones that self-regenerate. Yes, you might lose money investing in the wrong people, but if you invest in no one, you lose everything the moment you can no longer lead. You won't live forever to manage your portfolio. But if you leave behind a trained team and a generation that understands the mission, you've built a value-generating engine that never stops running. Ask yourself, who in your family has untapped potential? Do you have a training plan for your successor? Is your current legal financial advisory team strong enough to sustain your wealth in your absence? True wealth isn't what you leave behind. It's the person who can inherit it, understand it, and multiply it. 6th, regulatory relationship capital. Mastering the rules. Play the game legally and strategically. While the average person complains that the system is rigged, the wealthy stay quiet and talk to the people who write the rules. In the world of generational wealth, simply following the law isn't enough. You need to understand how to shape the game through the rules. That's why wealthy families, the kind that stay rich for generations, quietly build an invisible asset. Regulatory relationship capital, their connections with legal and policy-making systems. Personal insight. I used to think laws were rigid, something you either accept or obey. But after having lunch with an elderly business person in Washington, D.C., who once reshaped his entire family's tax strategy through a relationship on a state legislative committee, I realized laws aren't restrictions, they're maps. Those who can read the map can reach their destinations faster. Why is regulatory relationship a long-term competitive advantage? While others wait for policy updates, you've already moved. While others are confused by new laws, you've been preparing for 6 months. While others pay the highest tax rates, you benefit from official incentives because you know how to play within the rules. True wealth doesn't come from breaking the law, but from understanding it before anyone else does. How to build regulatory relationship capital for your family. 1. Create a legal translator team, not just a one-off hire, but a long-term partner. I once met a craft spirits family business in Oregon. They did something simple, but rare. They kept regular contact with their tax attorney. They invited legal advisors to their quarterly family meetings. They treated advisors as strategic partners, not just paper pushers. When the state revised its consumption tax policy in 2023, they were among the first to benefit because they had already restructured inventory and renegotiated distribution months in advance. Irendu. Join policy communities. No politics required. Just be present. A Jewish American family in Philadelphia once told me they regularly send a representative to public hearings on estate tax reform. They aren't politicians, but their consistent presence and contributions earn them early access to policy changes at local and state levels. Being known as a responsible regular in these communities is often more valuable than short-term personal connections. 3. Leverage legal tools to optimize legacy strategy. Most people think estate planning ends with a will. Wealthy families think far beyond that. They use family limited partnerships, FLPs, are used to transfer wealth while keeping control, donor-advised funds to gain tax advantages while giving charitably qualified opportunity zones to defer capital gains, flexible trusts to shield wealth from legal risks and internal disputes. These are not loopholes, but legal tools designed to incentivize socially beneficial behavior, and those who understand the law early can benefit earlier. Ask yourself, are you actively following changes in tax, estate, or inheritance law? Does anyone in your family play the role of policy connector? Does your legal advisor fully understand your generational wealth goals, or are they just processing paperwork? In the long game of multi-generational wealth, the winner isn't the richest. It's the one who reads the rules best. And if you can build relationships with those who write the rules, you won't just move faster, you'll design your path. 7. Legacy infrastructure. A legacy must be lived, not just left. When most people hear the word legacy, they think of money, houses, stocks, and a will opened after a funeral. But here's the hard truth. You can leave behind money, but not a legacy. A legacy must be lived, preserved, and operated. And if you don't build a structure to carry it forward, it will disappear faster than any bank balance. Personal insight. I once met an Irish-American entrepreneur in Boston. When he passed, he left nearly $50 million to his descendants, but no operational structure behind. Within 5 years, the estate was torn apart by disputes. The eldest son bought a sports car. The youngest sued the siblings over unfair distribution. The family fractured, the fortune vanished, and the founder's name no longer mentioned at reunions. By contrast, I once visited a family farm in Ohio. The third-generation grandson was leading an agricultural research project started by his grandfather. His name was engraved on the gate. His values were referenced at strategy meetings. What made the difference? One man left money, the other left a structure. What is legacy infrastructure? Put, it's a deliberate system designed to preserve your values, impact, and life mission long after you're gone. It could be a scholarship fund in your name, a mission-driven business, a family foundation, a cultural, educational, or spiritual project tied to your values, or even just a legacy document, an et Ikale will, lining your lessons, regrets, and hopes for the next generation. How to build legacy infrastructure. 1. Start while you're alive. Too many people postpone legacy planning until the very end. That's take. Legacy infrastructure takes time to embed into your family's active memory. Let your children or grandchildren operate parts of the legacy while you're away. Give them real responsibility. Let them absorb your values in practice, not just in theory. 2. Turn legacy into a living system, not a static memory. Instead of just creating a foundation, have it fund projects that your family actively participates in. Instead of just leaving a legal will, write a legacy letter. What you believe, learned, and regret. Let future generations know who you were, not just what you left. 3. Build an Operation N, Legacy Fate A in California, which once turned a small coffee shop into a space for inspiring young entrepreneurs. After he passed, his 2 children continued running it as a non-profit startup hub. That's a Ting legacy, a living legacy in motion. A legacy doesn't need grand, it just serves a purpose greater than money. Legacy is the culmination of the 6 previous assets. Reputation capital gives the structure credibility. Family governance keeps it running smoothly. Knowledge arbitrage directs its future. Optionality allows it to adapt. Human capital ensures it survives. Regulatory relationships make it legal and sustainable. Legacy infrastructure is where all of these assets converge. Conclusion: the blueprint for lasting wealth. By now, you may have realized a simple yet profound truth. Real wealth doesn't lie in assets, it lies in structure. Families who sustain wealth, especially many Jewish families who've preserved fortunes across generations, aren't just good at making money. They're masters at building operating systems that withstand time, generations, and social or economic upheaval. They don't let their wealth drift. They embed it into an ecosystem of reputation capital, built through every promise kept family governance, ensuring everyone knows their financial role. Knowledge arbitrage, spotting opportunities before others believe. Financial optionality, allowing agility in times of crisis. Human capital, growing wealth through the next generation's hands. Regulatory relationships, so they never play blindly in a complex system. And finally, a living legacy infrastructure where money doesn't die. It serves a purpose far greater than itself. None of these can be bought. They require strategic thinking, time, discipline, and most of all, a shift in mindset. This is your golden window if you're in your 40s, 50s, or beyond. The time to shift from wealth creator to legacy architect. Remember, the truly wealthy don't just leave money. They leave behind a system, a living, breathing model for wealth that continues to grow even when they're gone. And that model doesn't start on the day you write a will. It starts today. Which of the 7 assets you learned made you realize what you've been missing? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. Share this video with someone you care about. Someone is building a career, a family, or a long-term financial future. Because sustainable wealth isn't a one-person game. It's a generational mission. And if you want me to dive deeper into any of these assets, like how to build a family constitution, how to set up a donor-advised fund, or how to structure a trust team, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. I'm ready to build 100 years of wealth. Don't let wealth end with you. Let it begin with you.